Hello, guys. I am your good friend, the broadcaster of the Great Kim Empire. Today, we are going to discuss North Korea's economics. Before we begin, let me buff myself up first.
Hail the fat guys in North Korea!
Back to the topic. Many people might think that North Korea is entirely unrelated to wealth, but in reality, the North Korean economy once had a glorious past. At its peak, North Korea's economy surpassed South Korea's and almost caught up with Japan, ranking among the top in Asia. Everything started in 1953. After the Korean War, the Korean peninsula entered a relatively peaceful phase, allowing North Korea to embark on a vigorous economic construction campaign. Firstly, North Korea established a clear economic planning strategy. Secondly, the international community, particularly China and the Soviet Union, provided substantial assistance to North Korea, with Soviet aid being particularly crucial. Under the influence of both international and domestic factors, North Korea's economy achieved remarkable success. In the decade following the Korean War, North Korea's average annual economic growth rate reached an astounding 25%. By the 1970s, the urbanization rate in North Korea had reached an impressive 70%, with electrification spread nationwide and per capita electricity consumption reaching 1,000 kilowatt-hours. Agriculture was almost fully mechanized, and universal healthcare, education, and housing were provided for free. It seemed like a developed country. At that time, South Koreans desired to own a North Korean-made black and white television and even tried to smuggle themselves into North Korea. Kim Jong-un's mother, Ko Young-hui, originally from Jeju Island in South Korea, moved to North Korea with her parents from Japan in the 1960s instead of returning to South Korea because North Korea was much wealthier than South Korea at the time. It wasn't until 1980 that South Korea's GDP caught up with North Korea's. However, today, the economic conditions of North and South Korea have reversed, with South Korea becoming a developed country while many North Koreans still suffer from hunger. What exactly happened? Many people attribute it to the trade sanctions and blockade imposed by the United States and the West on North Korea. This is one of the reasons, but not the only one. The first reason for North Korea's poverty is its excessive dependence on the Soviet Union. The turning point in North Korea's economy occurred in 1991 when a significant event with global repercussions took place: the collapse of the Soviet Union. While the collapse of the Soviet Union was seen as a good thing by Western countries, for North Korea, it was like falling from heaven to hell. The collapse of the Soviet Union was not only a setback for communist regimes but also a devastating blow to North Korea's economy. The Soviet Union played a pivotal role in North Korea's economic development, with North Korea's heavy industry, agriculture, and energy heavily reliant on the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union not only provided massive annual aid but also entrusted numerous orders to North Korea. Losing the Soviet Union meant not only losing substantial aid but also its largest trading partner. After the regime change in the Soviet Union, Russia no longer had the obligation to support North Korea and demanded hard currency for trade, which North Korea was incapable of providing. This disrupted North Korea's traditional trade model. North Korea couldn't afford fuel or produce and purchase agricultural machinery, forcing much of its agriculture back to primitive manual labor, significantly reducing food production. During the Soviet era, North Korea failed to develop its light industry and agriculture, nor did it establish a self-sustaining economic cycle. As a result, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, North Korea couldn't produce basic survival necessities for its people, leading to the famines and other hardships associated with poverty. The second reason for North Korea's poverty is the economic sanctions imposed by the United States and the West. Since North Korea doesn't have a strong industrial base, it relies on international trade and aid for necessary materials. Without the Soviet Union's protection, North Korea had to passively accept economic blockades from the United States. Unable to trade with most countries in the world, North Korea couldn't generate foreign trade revenue or obtain materials from other countries. North Korea is a resource-poor country, heavily dependent on imports and aid for basic survival necessities. The inability to trade with other countries means a severe shortage of resources within North Korea and harsh living conditions. The third reason for North Korea's poverty is its military-first policy and internal corruption. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Kim dynasty, North Korea's ruling regime, prioritized military development over economic and political development to maintain its rule. The military industry consumes a vast amount of money, diverting national finances from light industry and agriculture. North Korea has experienced several severe natural disasters, but the government did not allocate funds to maintain farmland, leading to significant food crises. Without developing light industry and agriculture, employment became an issue for the population. North Korea also neglected railway construction. In 1954, North Korea had over 3,700 kilometers of railway, while South Korea had only 3,600 kilometers. However, by 2015, South Korea's railway had grown to 9,000 kilometers, while North Korea had a mere 5,000 kilometers. This shows that North Korea has not invested in infrastructure construction over the decades. Corruption within North Korea is also extremely severe. Kim Jong-un owns several luxury Mercedes-Maybach cars, but it remains a mystery how he circumvented international sanctions to acquire them. When the top leader of North Korea bypasses sanctions not to benefit the people but to buy luxury cars for himself, it reflects the deep-seated corruption among officials. This corruption trickles down, with lower-level officials even more corrupt, and international aid never reaching those in need but circulating in North Korean markets, enriching corrupt officials. However, North Korea has started to change in recent years. In 2019 alone, North Korea built nearly 400 kilometers of roads nationwide to promote regional economic exchange. Additionally, dam, bridge, and railway construction projects have been initiated as part of North Korea's infrastructure renovation plan. North Korea has also adjusted its economic structure, elevating the importance of agriculture at the macro level and no longer prioritizing military industry as the sole development goal. But will these fundamental reforms put North Korea on the right track and ensure its people no longer suffer from hunger? I don't know. What do you think?